the reply will be a separate event from the second object. So they are saying, suppose an object is sending some message or something to between two objects as a combination of two or more events. So if a conversation happening between two objects will be a combination of one or two or more events. Events with similar kind of have during which it satisfies some condition, performs some action, or waits for some event to occur. An object remains in a state for a finite, non Alternatively, ongoing activity may be represented by a pair of actions, one that starts the activity on entry to the state and one that terminates the activity on exit from the state. So you can see that activities are the agents that are responsible for the change in state. So also a state has its duration, and most of the time a state is associated with some continuous activity. A state must have initial state and final state. So you should have initial state and final state. A transition to the enclosing state represents the transition to the initial state. A transition to a final state represents the completion of activity in the enclosing region. So if your transition is happening, change is happening. So from one state to the another state you are going, from the initial state to another state you are going, and when you are closing it, you are going to the final state. That means your activity is completing, right? So completion of activity in all concurrent regions represent the completion of activity and closing state and triggers a completion of activity event on the enclosing state. Completion of the outermost state of an object corresponds to its death, right? So if you are completion of outermost state, if you are going out of the system, so that is known as the death of the object. So there are different notations used, like a state is shown as a rectangle with rounded corners. It may have one or more compartment. Compartment are all optional. They are as follows: name of the compartment holds the optional name of the state as a string. So this is what they have shown. This is a state, right? Bus stand A, right? So the initial state is shown by a solid circle. So this is your initial state, the solid circle with the black filled, and final state is shown as a bullseye, like this, a circle and a hollow circle with a dark circle inside. This is a final state. So creating a state diagram, let us consider the scenario of traveling from station A to B, station B by bus stand. Following is the example of a state diagram for such a scenario. It represents the normal flow. It does not show the substates for this scenario. So you are starting from the initial state at a bus stand, and you this is your state bus stand A, and your state changes to bus stand B because you are traveling from bus stand A, station A to station B, and finally at station B when you land, that is your final state, right? So just an example, simple example they have shown. So what is state chart diagram? Objects have behaviors and states. The state of an object depends on its current activity or condition. A state chart diagram shows the possible states of the object and transition that cause a change in that state. So what all changes are happening in to the object? This object is moving from one to other state. There are transitions happening, changes happening from one state to the other. So what is that? That is shown through state chart diagram. So state chart diagram in shown in figure 7.2 models a login part of an online system, online banking system. They are showing only the login part, login activity. So logging in consists of entering a valid social security number and personal ID number and then submitting the information for validation. So here, this is your initial state, right? So the initial state, they are saying you are getting the pin, right? Or you can press the key to enter the pin, right? Right, and then you submit it. It validates your pin. Do the pin is validated? So if it is validated, then your transaction will be going to the final state. If it is rejected, that means your validation is not, your pin is not correct, it is rejected, then you cancel or quit and go to the final state. So, a simple example they have given. So logging in can be factored in four non-overlapping state: getting pin, right, validating and rejecting. A complete set of transitions come from each state that determine the subsequent state. States are rounded rectangles, so these the corners are rounded, right? the transitions are arrows from one state to another. So arrows show the transition from one state to another. Events or conditions that trigger transitions are written beside the arrows, right? So whose mic is on? Yeah. So the so what we are doing is through arrows we are showing the state from one state to another. Events or conditions that trigger transitions are written beside the arrows. So here, what is happening? You are submitting. So these are the transitions happening. You are submitting here, or you are validating and starting a transaction, or display error message. So these are written along the arrow, right? The our diagram has self transition on getting pin. So here you are putting a self transition like this, right? Getting pin. So the initial state, black circle, this initial state, right, is a dummy to start the action. Hello. Final states are also dummy states that terminate the action. So this is final state, this is initial state. So the action that occurs as a result of an event or condition is expressed in the form of action. While in its validating state, the object does not wait for an outside event to trigger a transition. Instead, it performs an activity. The result of that activity determines its subsequent state. So this validating state checks whether the pin is valid or not. If it is valid, it does something. If it is not valid, it does something. So it does not wait for any other event. It does the activity. So you can observe that a state chart diagram shows the sequence of states that an object or an interaction goes through during its life in response to receive stimuli and responses and action. Or in other words, you can say that the state machine is a graph of states and transitions that describe the response of an object of a given class to the receipt of outside stimuli. A state machine is attached to a class or a method. So state chart diagram represents a state machine. State symbols represent the states, and transition are represented by arrows connected to a state symbol. So states may also contain sub-diagrams like physical containment and tiling. So this is what they are talking about, the state machine. So state machine is same as state chart diagram. So from one state to another, what transition is happening, what is the response of the object, what outside stimulus it is receiving on, it is giving what activity is going on. That is what you are portraying in the state chart diagram. This is one behavioral diagram. So elements of a state diagram, we have already seen the things, but they are again giving you the elements. The initial state is there, which is this triangle with this. Transition is represented with event or action with an arrow. So this is history states. A flow may require that the object go into a trance or wait state, and on the occurrence of a certain event, go back to the state it was in, and when it went into a wait state, it last active state. So this is shown in a state diagram with the help of H enclosed within a circle. So basically what they are saying, suppose you may require that an object has to wait for completion. So it goes into the wait state, and this is shown in a state diagram with the help of H enclosed with the circle history. That up till here, the state the state of that particular object was this much because it was waiting, and when it has, so from wait state now, from H it goes to the next state. So if you want to show a wait state, this history state is there. Then event and action, again arrow, with arrow you can show. Signal is this thing if you want to show that, and final state is this one. Generally we signal we do not use so much, but we use event or action. So transition and event are shown there. So advanced concept in dynamic modeling, they are talking about entry and exit actions. The following special actions have the same form but represent reserved words that cannot be used for event names. Entry or action expression. So an atomic action performed on entry to the state. Exit is an atomic action performed on exit from the state. Right. So action expressions may use attributes and links of the owning object and parameters of incoming transitions if they appear on all incoming transitions. So the following keyword represent the invocation of a nested state machine do or machine name argument list. So the machine name must be the name of the state machine and has an initial and final state. When this state is entered after any entry action, the execution of the nested state machine begins with its initial state. So if nested machine has parameters, then the argument list must match correctly. Like they are saying typing keyword, right? So entry or set echo invisible, exit or set echo normal, character or handle character. So this kind of a thing, this is entry or exit actions. Right. So internal transition compartments holds a list of internal actions or activities performed in response to events received while the object is in the state without changing the state. So you can put this entry or exit action also, right? So event name or pseudo event name may appear at most once in a single state. So what event is there, that is used once. You can see what happens when an event has to occur after completing some event or action. The event or action is called the guard condition. So according to some condition, if your event is happening, then that condition is known as guard condition. So this guard condition or event or action is depicted by square brackets around the description of the event or action. In other words, in the form of Boolean expression, the transition takes place after the guard condition occurs. So in square brackets, you can give a condition. So in curly brackets or in square brackets, sorry, not in curly brackets. In square brackets, you have to give the description that according to this condition, this guard condition will occur. So they are asking what is in check progress, what is guard condition. I explain with an example. So that is there. Then concurrency. So concurrency is that one or two objects are happening independently, like concurrently, simultaneously. So, right. So in a dynamic model, some systems are described as a set of concurrent objects, each with its own state and state diagram. So an expansion of a state into concurrent substates is shown by tiling the graphic region of the state using dashed lines to divide it into subregions. Each subregion is a concurrent substate. So each subregion may have optional name and must have a nested state diagram with disjoint states. Right. So you can show it with a dashed line to divide it into subregions. Like you have a main graphic region, and you are dividing it into other regions. So that is shown with a dashed line. Then composite states, you can say that a state can be decomposed using and relationships into concurrent substates or using or relationship into mutually exclusive disjoint substates. So a given state may only be defined in one or two ways. So basically, you can have you can decompose. Decompose means divide a state into one or two using and relationship or relationship. So if it is and relationship, so this concurrent states you can divide using and or relationship into mutually exclusive disjoint subsets, right? So a newly created object starts in its initial state. The event that creates the object may be used to trigger a transition from the initial state symbol, and the object that transitions to its outermost final state ceases to exist. Then expansion of a state shows its fine structures. In addition to the optional name and internal transition compartments, a state may have additional compartment that contains a region holding a nested diagram. So the text compartments may be shrunk horizontally within the graphic region of the convenience and appearance. So they are saying that you can have a nested diagram also inside a diagram. So in this, they are showing a dial number. Uh, so here dial number is there. So entry or start dial, tone. If tone is there, exit or stop, dial tone, right? Then partial dial, entry or member append, right? So you dial the digits, and that is your final state. They are just giving you an example of that. So state diagram for an assembly is a collection of state diagrams, one for each component. Aggregation means concurrency. Aggregation is the AND relationship. You will see it is a combined state of all component diagrams. For example, the state of a car as an aggregation of component states, the ignition, transmission, accelerator, and brake. Each component state also has states. So what they are saying is state diagram is a collection of state diagrams. It can be a collection of state diagrams for each component. So aggregation means concurrency. Aggregation is the AND relationship. You will see. It is combined states of all component diagrams. For example, the state of a car as an aggregation of component states. So it is the car has ignition, transmission, accelerator, and brake. So each component state also has states. So the state of the car includes one substate from each component. So each component undergoes transition in parallel with all others. So you have a combination of state diagrams also. But that is generally not portrayed so much, but you can have a diagram under another diagram. So semantics, an event is a noteworthy occurrence for practical purposes in state diagrams. It is an occurrence that may trigger a state transition. Events may be of several kinds, not necessarily mutually exclusive. The event occurs whenever the value of the expression changes from false to true. So note that this is different from a guard condition. A guard condition is evaluated once whenever its event fires. If it is false, the transition does not occur and the event is lost. Guarded transitions from one object can depend on another object being in a given state. So this is what they have shown you about state diagram. Then they are talking about dynamic models. So now you are familiar with events and their occurring time. The dynamic model describes those aspects of the system concerned with the sequencing of operations and time events that cause state changes, sequences of events, states that define the context for events, and the organization of events and states. So basically, dynamic model is showing you the different events when they are happening, the time events, and the state changes which are happening from one state to another. The events are moving. So dynamic model captures control information without regard for what the operation act on or how they are implemented. So we are not concerned with how they are implemented and what the operation act on. We are just showing that from one state one event is occurring, the state of the after the event the object state changes to another state. So dynamic model is represented graphically by state diagrams. A state is an abstraction of an object's attribute values and links, where set of values are grouped together into a state according to properties that affect the general behavior of the object. So state corresponds to the internal between two events received by an object and describe the value of the object for that time period. Each state diagram shows the state and event sequences permitted in a system for one object class. State diagrams also refer to other models, actions, and that. So they are just giving you examples of that only. So the state diagram should adhere to OMT, that is object modeling technique notations, and exploit the capabilities of OMT such as transition, guards, actions, and activities. So they have given you a transition diagram for a digital watch. They are giving you an example. So here you have, they have not given you the final state, but there should be an initial and final state also. So this is display state, this is set hours, this is set seconds, set minutes. So display, do or display current time, right? So mode button, if you press the mode button, you can set hours in the digital watch. You can set the hours. Press button or change hours. So you are pressing the button and change hours. So this is moving back to this only. You can also set minutes. So press button to change minutes. You can also set the seconds. So press button to change the seconds. So that will be displayed on your digital watch, whatever hours, minutes, and seconds you are displaying. So this is your just an example from how the transition is happening. You can see that the state diagram of a digital watch is given where the user wants to set hours, set minutes, and then set the seconds and display the time. So that is there. So this is what they have shown you. have shown you in your state, the dynamic model. They have shown the state chart diagram. We have seen it earlier also, and I've given you an example also. So that is your unit 7. And in unit 8, they are talking about functional modeling. In functional modeling, they are talking about now DFD, right? So functional model is a graphical representation of the object-oriented analysis model and focuses on various processes to be performed on input data to obtain the desired output. So basically what we are doing, we are showing a graphical representation where we are performing some input, giving some input to that thing and obtaining the desired output or result from the other. So here the system is viewed as a black box that accepts input, transform them by applying various processes and functions, and then produces the output. So function model does not show how the transformations occur when they are performed and why there is a need to do calculations. We are just showing that from one process or one function, how the changes are occurring and moving ahead. So this is shown through DFDs, data flow diagrams, right? So the processes that work on the inputs may be performing some mathematical or logical calculations or applying some algorithm to generate one or more outputs in the form of some numerical value or some control signal that may be used to derive other devices. So we use data flow diagram, DFD, to explain the flow of data from one input to output. So that is there. So DFD is data flow diagram, is a simple graphical technique that represents an entire software system in terms of input fed to it, processing applied on these inputs, and the outputs produced by the system. So, and various data stores used internally to store the data or results. So the focus is on the flow of data input into a system by a source, so transformed by the application of various processes, and then sent to a destination as an output. The sources that produce data and the destination that consumes the processed data are known as actor objects, right? So it is very easy to understand the functionality of system with DFD as there are very few symbols used in it, and the basis of DFD is to divide a complex problem into smaller components. So you must have studied DFD in your software engineering in the semester 1, all those. So in your software engineering also. So also it is said that human intellect works on the fundamental of division of complex. So we will be talking about DFD. So features or the symbols used in DFD are circle. Circle is labeled, it is a bubble to show the processing or transformation applied on data, or a process is shown in a circle, right? Or function, or you can say you are the circle is representing the function which is happening. Arrows is to represent the data flow. Rectangle is used to show an actor or an object in the system who is there. Two parallel lines or rounded rectangles. This rounded rectangle, this it is used to represent, this is used, two parallel lines are used to represent data store or database, right? And a rectangle with the right top corner chopped off like this represents the output form of a hard copy. This is output, right? Input and output we show with this kind of a thing. So this is data flow, this is process, this is external entity or object, and this is a data store. So a process circle represents a process, and the name of the function performed by it is written inside the circle. So suppose calculate, this is the function or this is a process you are doing, calculate sum. So you are passing the values of A, B, and C, and you're calculating the sum, and sum is coming out. This is the output you are getting. So this is what we will be doing. The process denote a function that is to be performed on one or more inputs to produce one or more outputs. The purpose of process is to transform data. So an example of a process can be calculate sum. So this process is given 3 integers as input and produces the result as output. So just giving an example, like here, perform division. So you are giving the dividend and divisor, and it is giving you the quotient and the remainder as output. Just example they are giving. A process may get input from an external entity called an actor, or from another process, that is the output of one process, maybe the input to another process like this. The user gives a number to the log calculator, and log calculator returns the output to the user. So this kind of a thing. So the number of inputs and outputs for a process yeah. So we are talking about there may be some data store may be read to collect input from a file residing on it. Under such circumstance, the process may have side effects because of which the functional model cannot provide result of the process. Also, in this situation, the result of the process will depend upon the behavior of the software system as explained by the dynamic model. Right, then you can show data flows also. So data flows can be like here square root, so they are showing through arrows that a single same value can be sent to more than one place as indicated by a fork with three outputs. So this is forking, that means you can provide this square root to three processes or three outputs where, right. So address line, city and state. So an aggregate value can be split into many components. Each of the component is sent to a different process or actor. A fork has depicted this with three arrows coming out of it. In this case, label is written, so each arrow is forking to different process. So this is going to some other process, this is going to some other, this is going to some other. Then synchronous versus asynchronous data flow. So DFD in figure 8.7 shows three data flows. The data item integer flowing into read number process, the data item named integer flowing from the read number process to file modulus process, data item name modulus number flowing out from the process file modulus. So in order to explain this concept, we have shown a part of the software system that reads the number and then find this modulus. So in the case of synchronous data flow, the output produced by process read number is immediately used by the process find module. It directly process. Hence, the speed of operation of both the processes is the same. So in the case of asynchronous data flow, as shown in figure 8.8, there sits a data source between the two processes. So there is a data source between the two processes. So the first process produces the data stored in the data source. Later on, another process can use this. As we can see that the two processes are independent of each other, this type of data flow is asynchronous. So this read number is reading from a data store, and find modulus can also read from the data source the number. They are not, this is reading and this is passing. Find modulus is synchronous, asynchronous. You are not, these are two independent events. This is reading the data, and this is from the data store, and this is also reading the data from the data store. So this is asynchronous. So you can show that. Then you have actors. Actors is represented using a rectangle or object or actor. The actor is an external entity that produces the data for the system or consumes the data information produced by the system. So like here, employee data are sent to the payroll processing, right? And the account information or salary information is sent to the payroll processes by the accountant, and the salary information is obtained to the given to the employee by the payroll processing. So these are the actors who are consuming or inputting or consuming the data, producing the data or consuming the data. Then data store is shown like this. If some data store is there with two lines between that, you are writing the data store. So example of data store are inventory, library, bookstores, payment databases, etc. So all data stores like this. So book details are passed. So data store is a passive object that represents a repository of data in the software system and is represented using two lines. A data store symbol represents either a data structure or a physical file residing on the disk. So we need a data store when the system must store the data for future use by a process. So that is the data store. So here the sales details are passed to the sales database, and the sales database is using the sales details from the sales database, and the process is finding the average sales and giving you the average sale result. Just an example they are giving. An output symbol, output, whatever output you are giving here, you can give an output symbol for the average. So that is, the symbol was this one. So this is your output symbol. So this can be there, right? Then you can also have constraints. Constraints are conditions, right? Constraints represent the relationship between two different objects at the same time, or different values of the same object at different times. Constraints mean the conditions or limitations required to be fulfilled over a period of time. So whatever, according to the condition you want to run you want to give some input, or according to the condition you want some output. So that those will be the constraints. So object modeling, here constraints show the relationship between objects. In this type of modeling, constraints represent the relationship between the different values that an object may take at different times. And dynamic modeling, here the constraints define the relationship between the states and events of different objects. And functional modeling, in this the constraints define the limitations on the transformation and computations that can be done of the object. So there are three kinds of modeling: object modeling, dynamic modeling, functional modeling. So object modeling constraints will be the relationship between objects, right? In dynamic modeling, it will be the relationship between states and events. And functional modeling, it will be the constraints or limitations or for transforming or computing an object, right? So constraint between values of an object over time is often called an invariant. For example, in physics, when a vector is rotated, its length does not change. So the length of the vector is invariant during rotation. So the behavior of operation can be explained with the help of invariance. So constraint is represented in DFD as a string written in inside braces, like this. Department sales, like this. Right, so figure 8.12 shows a DFD in which, depending on the department of an employee, either he is given an incentive or an increment. So as it is visible, if a department is sales, then the incentive is calculated. And if the department is HR, then an increment is calculated. So according to the sales in the employee database, according to the sales, you will calculate the incentive or you will calculate the increment. So they are saying if the department is sales, so here that they have written the department wrongly. If the department is sales, you will calculate the incentive. So you, in curly brackets, you have given department sales. This is sales department according to the constraint condition. And if the department is HR, so this is not sales, this is HR. If the department is HR, it will calculate the increment. Right? So that this is how you show a constraint. Then control flows, again, a control flow signal is represented by a process so as to inform other process to start or stop its processing. This is typically a Boolean value passed to another process on the basis of which the other process decides its course of action. It is denoted by a dotted line, like this, right? So for example, an example of control flow, the customer enters a password in a net banking website, which is verified. Only after that he can transfer money to somebody else's account. So the customer enters a password, it is verified. So when the password is verified, right, after that only the transfer amount, he can do the transfer amount. So this is shown through a dotted line. Right? So that is what your control flow is. So design flaws in DFD, there are certain limitations of the DFD which may lead to a few design flaws. The most disturbing limitation is that with DFD, we cannot visualize the complete picture of the software system, and hence some of the essential physical entities are left out. Also, at times, it can be tough to conceptualize an object-oriented structure in a hierarchical format. So basically, we cannot visualize a complete picture of the software in software system in DFD. So
क्राइटेरिया होगा
complete
जैसे
picture
बेसिक
cannot be
लेता हूँ
put in
बच्चों
the DFD, and we cannot also, sometimes it is difficult to conceptualize the object oriented structure. So there are different categories of design flaws. Flaws committed by beginners. So the context diagram must have just one bubble that represents a complete software system at an abstract level and has arrows of input and output interactions corresponding to data flows with the world. So many designers draw more than one bubble in the context
देखता हूँ
diagram,
मैं
which
लिस्ट
must be
चेक करूँगा
avoided. So they
बता
are
सकता हूँ
saying
मैं
you must have one bubble that represents the complete structure. So the first DFD, that is a context level DFD, zero level or context level DFD, should have one bubble, right, at the first level, and has arrows of input and output interaction corresponding to data flow with the world. So that is there. So you should not have more than one bubble in your context diagram. In your zero level diagram, you should have only one bubble. That is one process. Then external, that is a complete process. External entities are drawn only in the context diagram. So however, many designers represent the external entities at odd levels of DFD, which is not correct. External entities means objects which are interacting with that system, with that process. So you have employee, you have accountant, clerk, whatever external entities. So you should draw the external entities only in the context diagram in the zero level, not in other levels of DFD. So you can have one level, two level DFD, but don't draw it there. So each process or bubble should be decomposed into between 3 to 7 bubbles, but sometimes designers do not follow this principle. So they are saying each process or bubble should be decomposed or divided into 3 to 7 bubbles, not more than that. So sometimes they do not follow that. So different levels of DFD must be balanced, right? So balancing of DFD means that the data flow into or out of a process symbol must match the flow at the next. एक minute, just hold on. So each process or bubble different levels of DFD must be balanced. So you should balance the different levels of DFD. Balancing of DFD means that the data flow into or out of the process symbol must match the flow at the next higher level of DFD. So representing control information at DFD, one must clearly understand that DFD is not a flowchart. DFDs cannot capture the following important features: when, why, and how. So as the time dependent behavioral system software system cannot be shown in a DFD, therefore the transformations are done by processes that cannot be shown by in a DFD. DFD cannot specify why the value of an object has changed. DFDs cannot mention the frequency of transformation done on an object. So if a bubble X invokes either the bubble Y or bubble Z, depending upon some condition, we need only to represent the data flow that flows between bubbles X and Y or bubbles X and Z, and not the conditions depending on which the two modules are invoked. So mistakes arising out of poor diagramming approach, black holes, miracle, and gray holes. So such design flaws occur when the outputs from a process do not match its inputs. A few examples of this design flaws are black hole, miracle, and gray hole. Black hole is if a processing step has just input flows and no output flows. That means you are only showing input, no output is shown. That is black hole. Miracle is if a processing step has just output flows but no input flows. So you are not showing the inputs, you are only showing the output is miracle. And gray holes is, as the name suggests, that it is a confusing situation. Such a situation may arise when a processing step has outputs that are greater than the sum of its input. Example, its input could not produce the output shown. So there are situations where it is confusing that the input is given this, but output is coming something else. So it could not those output inputs could not produce that output. So illegal data flows with data store can also be there. It is very important to realize that a data store can only be connected to bubbles using data arrows. So a data store can never be connected to another data store or to an external entity. So that is there. So this is about DFD. So sample functional model example of DFD up to third level they are giving. So before you learn to draw DFD for a complex system, a few important guidelines for drawing a functional diagram are there. Every process must have a meaningful name, which is unique, and a unique number as its identifier. So you should have, every process should be there and it should have a meaningful name. Level 0 DFD is called the context diagram, must have just one process, right? So level 0 DFD is called a context diagram, must have one process. So remember we have studied that there are flaws and you should only have one process in your context level diagram, which is showing the complete system. So that is 0 level or context level DFD. That will be the first level you will draw. Every data flow arrow must be named. So every data flow arrow should be named, that what you are doing to that process. A bubble should be decomposed into a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 7 bubbles in further levels. A process can be connected only with another process, external entity, and data store. Right? No two external entities can be connected directly with each other. No loop is allowed in a DFD. There should be a logical consistency in all levels of DFD. The data flow of DFD should be easy to understand. We should try to use arrows direction to depict the order of events. For explaining the occurrence of the event, a flow chart should be used. So the numbering of the bubbles is to be done by very carefully. Each bubble is given a unique identification number. Bubble in the context diagram that is level 0 is given 0 number. Bubble in level 1 are numbered like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on. Bubbles in level 2 are formed after factoring or decomposing each of the bubbles of level 1. Say 0.1 bubble. If even if you are not giving in bubble 1, that is process 1, you are not giving 0.1, you can give 1, 1, 2, 3, you can give that, or 1.1, 1.2, that also you can give. So bubbles in level 2, you have to now refine this level 1 DFD's bubbles. So this first bubble can be explained in 0.1.1, 0.1.2, something like that. Hence we can say bubble having the number x is exploded, its children, that is bubbles at the next level of DFD, are numbered at x.1, x.2, x.3, and so on. So this can be done in level 2. Right, a complete working example of a DFD up to level 3 has been explained here. So here they are giving you an example like we have of online shopping system. We have taken an example of DFD up to level 3 for a website for online shopping system for buying products of various categories with apparel, food and beverages, electronic items, etc. There are two types of users, also called actors, who interact with this OSS. These are the administrators and the customers. The administrator is the sole in charge of the website and is responsible for all features and facilities offered by the site. Level 0 DFD, only the login request and response for customer administrator are depicted in this. The name of the process is online shopping system, which is a noun. So this is like this. So this is your context level or 0 level DFD. So you have, this is your bubble or your process, online shopping system, complete process. These are your external entities, administrator and customer. So administrator, admin details can be put to the online shopping system, and it can return the response to the administrator, and customer details can be put by the customer to the online shopping system, and it can give you a response accordingly. Right? So level 1 DFD is this. The context diagram is further decomposed in a hierarchical way to explain the system's entire working. Right? Now this is your entire working of the system. It is showing like this. Now we are further refining it in level 1. So this is done by converting level 0 bubble into 3 to 7 bubbles, which generally have labels denoting the functionality using verbs. So in one level DFD, what the customer side can do, you can register, customer can log in, manage account, purchase item, make payment, return item in a online shopping system. So first is you now in one level DFD, you can register, log in, manage account, purchase item, make payment, return item. So you can either say 1.1, 1.2 like that. If you do not want to say 0.1, it is okay. If you want, you can say 0.1, you can say 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. So these are the processes which are happening, and in this, if you even if you don't write the customer thing, this entity, if you are writing, it is okay. If you don't write it, then not also it is okay. The customer can register, and this is the database, customer database. The customer can register, so the details are sent to the database, and responses sent back to the customer accordingly. Again, he can log in. It is checked from the database, the validity, and the customer login is done. He can manage the account again from the database. They can manage the account. They can purchase the item from the item database or the order database or inventory. They can see the item and add it to the item. They can add to the shopping cart, and then they can make the payment for that particular order, and through credit card or debit card or whatever, net banking or whatever method they are opting. And then after the order, they can return the item also from the order database. So that this is one level DFD. So it shows the various levels, different levels according to the customer you are dividing. Then according to the administrator side also, you can make an one level DFD. That is admin login, manage category, manage item, manage order, manage report. Right? So they are made separate. You can make it in one also. If you have so much of page, you can make it according to the administrator. You all have other processes like admin login, manage category, manage item, manage order, manage reports. So accordingly, you can make that. Again, the different database are connected, and administrator can log in, and his login is verified. He can manage the category. Also, he can manage the items. Also, he can manage the orders. Also, and he can see the reports. So this is one level. Then second level DFD, you are further refining. So second level DFD customer side, we are like if you for the login, if you want to see your account details, customer credentials, if you want to see manage account, that means you are refining. You can refine this also, register also you can refine to the third level. You can refine different third level can be there. You can refine sorry, level 2, not level 3, level 2 in level 2 DFD you can refine either register, login, manage account, purchase item, manage payment, return item. So they are refining manage account. So in manage account, what they are showing is that in manage account, the customer credentials are given to view account, right? And the customer can change his, he gives his username and he can change his password. This is another process. He can edit his profile by giving the username. He can modify the profile and to the customer database. He can request and display his profile in the view account. He can change the password, update the password also. So that is what third level of DFD is all about, right? So while purchasing item, the customer can search for an item also. So this is for purchase item. So this is for purchase item. They have made the second level DFD. Yeah. So the customer after the customer credentials are taken, he can search an item from the item database and he gets a response. Then he can search for offers which are there from the database. He can manage the cart. He can add the item to the cart. So that is there. Then he can make the payment. This is another second level DFD is refined payment option. Customer after the customer, he can make the payment. He goes to the payment gateway either to the credit card or whatever bank database, and he gives his confirmation for payment, and the order is done. If it is successful, the order is done, and the payment request if the cancel, or if the payment is not successful, they can cancel the order also, and order according to that it is updated in the order database. And if it is ordered, the issue order to administrator, so it is updated in the database. So this kind of a thing. Again, for the administrator also, manage category they have described here. So add category, delete category, update category, view category, the different items which are there according to the category, you can add them. They have given. Then manage items also, add item, delete item, update item, view item, they have done. Manage order also they have shown here. So these are the different level to TFD they have done. So according to that, manage report also they have done, generate user report, generate delivery report, generate payment report, generate supplier report they have made. So these are the DFDs, dispatch order. So these are the second level DFDs. So each of the one level DFD, you can refine it to the second level DFD. That is what is there, right?
Sorry for
So
jumping in, ma'am.
now they are talking. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question. Like,
Tell me.
inside the circle, why we are using like to 0 point E for every level, level 1, level 2? It should be.
See.
It should not be to 1.1 for one level 1, for level 2.
That's what I said. They are starting with a 0 level DFD, right? Context level. So in the 1 level, they are giving 0.1, 0.2. You can give 1, 2, 3 also. You can give 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, like that also. Do you understand?
Okay.
It's not general. You can give 1, 2, 3 in the 1 level DFD, 1, 2, 3 when you are refining, and in the second level DFD when you are using, you can say 2.1, 2.2, like that also.
Okay, got it.
Right? They are starting with 0 because 0 level DFD is there. So in 0 level DFD, in 1 level they are saying 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So if they are explaining in the second level manage account, that is 0.3. So they are starting with 0.3.1.
Okay, got it.
Right, 0.3.2. And for search item,
So
they are saying
0 level. Yeah, these are part of 0
yeah,
level, but
they have started with 0 level DFD, and in 1 level they have refined the context level, or the main level is 0 level, right? This is your 0 level, the context level, the whole system is the 0 level. Now in the 1 level, either you can give 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.1 is the register part. In the context, from the context level, you have divided it into these processes, right? That's why they have given 0.1, 0.2. So if you don't want to give 0.1, you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And in the second level, you can explain it like this: 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. With, if another level is there, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. Another level is there, 3.1. So whichever level you are explaining here, you are refining register. So you will say if it is 1 for you, so 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. If you are explaining this second login, then 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. If you are explaining manage, 3.1, 3.2, so you can give that also. It's not a compulsion that you have to give 0.1 only or 0.2 only. You can give your own numbering also. If you want to give 1, 2, 3, you can give 1, 2, 3 also. They have given it according to this, that this is 0 level, and a part of 0 level is 0.1 register,
Sub
0.2. Yeah.
Understood.
So they have done like that. So these are all the different levels of DFD which are there, which you must also be doing in your examination, in your theory also, in your practical also. They may ask you to draw it. So functional versus object versus dynamic model. So the difference between the three models they are talking about. So you have object model, dynamic model, functional model. Three types of OMT models are there. Object modeling technique, there are three types. So object model, the purpose of this model is to show the static aspect of the software system, including depicting the attributes and operations that an entry can perform. So here we make a class diagram. In the class diagram, we only show the static aspect of the system. So we are showing the class name, the attributes, the operations which are happening. So the focus is on how an object can be implemented and what operation an object is capable of performing. This is object model. When we talk about dynamic model, the purpose is to show the control aspect as well as the temporary and behavioral nature of the system. So here we are showing the sequencing of operation is shown in the dynamic model. So in this we are showing the state diagram, the activity diagram, the sequence diagram, right? All those diagrams are your behavioral things, right? According to the time, according to dynamic changes, what is happening? The state transitions are happening. Interaction diagram like sequence diagram is there. Activity collaborative diagrams are there. So these are the diagrams in dynamic model. It is showing the behavioral aspect of the system. In functional model, we are showing the various processes that include many sub-processes within them. This model is to depict the functional aspect, how the functional things are happening, but we are not showing it the actual implementation. We are just showing that these are the processes which are happening and what all transformations are happening in the processes, along with various transformation applied to data as it moves in the system. So this model focuses on what the operation do in terms of transformation on objects. So how the data is flowing, that is what we show in functional model. So we use data flow diagram to show collaboration between different objects to achieve the system behavior. So we use DFD here, right? So this is the way they are explaining it, that these are the differences, that object model does this static aspect, dynamic model shows the behavioral aspect, functional model shows the functional aspect, right? How the operations are happening. So this in object model we make the class diagram or the object diagram. In dynamic model we make the sequence diagram, state chart diagram, activity diagram, all the behavioral diagrams. And functional model we do the DFD. So in order to explain any software system in totality, we need to understand the relationship between all these three models. The three models work hand in hand for implementation of methods. The functional model acts as a guide to the methods. The process in the functional model correspond to operations in the object model. Most of the time, there is a direct relationship between each level. So in the class diagram or in the object diagram, we make functions in the object diagram, and that is explained in the functional DFD, that what that function, how the external entity is interacting with that process or operation. So that is what they have shown you. So they are just explaining the relation of functional model to object model. Is in functional model we use 4 components that have one-to-one correspondence with components of the object model. So processes, actors, data store, they are related. We so these are nothing but the objects of the object model or the attributes of the object model, the data stores. And processes are functions or methods that are implemented in the object model, and data flow is that occurs as a result of operations performed on an object, right? So they have a relationship, and relation of functional model to dynamic model is function model. We can specify how the operations are performed and which arguments were required for these operations. Whereas a dynamic model depicts the timing of an operation. The dynamic model specifies when it acts on an active object only, that is on an actor of functional model. The dynamic model does not mention anything related to data store, that is passive object. So this is what is your unit 8 is all about. That is DFD. That is your functional model of the thing. So you have seen the this was your object modeling. This was your dynamic modeling. This is your functional modeling. The 3 modeling in your block 2. Now tomorrow, which is also your last theory class, we'll be doing block 3, right? With the first unit is the basic design or system design. We'll be talking about cohesion and coupling, the module system and all that. We had seen that in software engineering also, some of the things, right? So that will be there. Then in this object design is there, how good the design should be, how implementation should be there, how. So they have just explained it in that is there. Then last is advanced object design, where state machine state diagram and other things are explained. We have already seen that. So how the design should be, that is there. And in the fourth module, which is this block 4, they are just taking a implement. They are just taking implementation strategy. They are taking. They are making a class diagram, and how that diagram is implemented in Java. They have taken the programming as Java, programming language as Java, and suppose this is your class teacher and student, and how it is given in your Java code. So they have just given you that code. So how it is implemented in the code, they are just showing that. How association is implemented, so they are showing that also according to that. So they are just giving you an example of the code. So that is what in this chapter is all about, just explaining the code. So we will do it tomorrow and we will finish the theory part. So basically in object oriented analysis and design, you just have to focus on the different, what is UML, right? What is OMT, what are the different concepts of object oriented concepts, right? That is object, class, polymorphism, inheritance and all that, right? What is OMT, object modeling technique, right? Why it is beneficial, right? And what is OOAD, object oriented analysis and design, what is that you should know. Then what is UML, what are the different diagrams in UML, what are the different models in you do object model, dynamic model and functional model. The different diagrams you are doing, the definition you should know. What is class diagram, what is use case diagram, what is sequence diagram, activity diagram, state chart diagram, so component diagram, deployment diagram. So all the diagrams you should know how to make it, and what are the definition for those diagrams. So that will be your thing. So if we go for the, I don't know, IGNOU website is opening or not. Yeah. It has opened. So Samarth app has opened. If we go for the previous year question papers, I'm just taking the current paper. So you just December 2023, and in find, just write SOCIS, School of Computer and Information Sciences. In that you will be finding your MCA new and BCA, MCA, whatever papers are there. So we are just going for MCA new. This is MCA new. So this is your where is that, the object oriented analysis and design theory paper, right? So this is your paper. So question number 1 is compulsory. Attempt any 3 questions from the rest. So first question will be the compulsory one. So object oriented analysis and design is better than. So the first question, A part is object oriented analysis and design is better than structured analysis and design. So this was in your first unit. Explain in detail. Justify the above statement. This is of 10 marks. Then B is what is UML? Unified Modeling Language. What are its advantages? Draw a class diagram for an ATM system. So this is also 10 marks. Then C part is what is inheritance? Explain advantages of inheritance. This is 5 marks. What is an association? Explain use of link in representation of association with the help of a diagram. This is 5 marks. What is design documentation? Briefly explain the features of good design documentation. This is again 5 marks. Then what is a functional model? Which diagram is used in functional modeling? Explain in brief. This is 5 marks. So this is your first question, which is a compulsory question, right? Then from the rest, any attempt 3 questions from the rest. So second, third, fourth, fifth, you have to attempt any 3. So what second says, A part, what is state transition diagram? Draw state transition diagram for an ATM machine system. B is what is generalization? How is it different from specialization? Explain with an example using suitable UML diagram. Third is A, what is a constraint? Explain how constraints are shown in a class diagram. Then B is what is serialization? Explain its use. C is explain the difference between unidirectional and bidirectional association. Unidirectional is one way, bidirectional is both ways, two ways. Describe how bidirectional association is implemented. Then fourth is A is what is a component diagram? What are its advantages? Draw a component diagram for ATM system. B is what is aggregation? Explain use of aggregation in object-oriented system with the help of an example. And fifth is write short notes on the following: abstract class, use case diagram, sequence diagram, object class, and database tables. So these are the questions. This is a last year paper. You can go for other papers also. Just an example I'm giving. So what you can do is you can download the previous question papers which are there, right? And you can